Hey friends, Will here, and today we're taking a look at the brightest on-camera LED video light in the world. I know, right? It's the LUPO Smartpanel dual colour. So let's get into it. If I had to describe the LUPO Smartpanel dual colour in just one word, that word would be versatile. It's versatile because of its brightness, it's versatile because of its size, it's versatile because of its temperature options, and almost most importantly, it's versatile because of its power options. Now, I'd not heard of LUPO before they reached out to me and asked if I'd like to test this light, but just a small amount of research online and it's clear that these guys have been making high quality production lighting for many years, and the Smartpanel dual colour is their foray into kind of smaller, slightly more consumer lights, and they are packing a huge amount of professional quality into this very small light. Now, I will say that I was sent the light free of charge for the sake of testing and review, but I'm under no obligation to say anything nice about it or recommend it. So what I'll be sharing with you today will be my honest feedback and experience from using the light over the last few months. So firstly, let's talk about what comes in the box. The box is really simple, no frills, but nice and solid. You get the Smartpanel dual colour itself, the light. You get a plastic diffuser. You get a small 1/4-20 bolt, which can be used for attaching the diffuser. You get a really heavy duty ball joint for connecting the light to light stands or cameras. You get a cold shoe adapter, which goes on the ball joint to allow you to attach to a camera or cage. And finally, you get a USB Type A to Type C cable, which can be used for powering the light. Now, the light costs £165 in the UK. I will put links in the description so you can check out where you can buy the light, find out more information about it, and also check the pricing in your own region because it does vary around the world. Now, the light itself is made of a very solid feeling plastic, and there's a sort of reassuring simplicity to the design of the whole thing. Like, it's so simple that there's not really anything to go wrong. It's incredibly solid. It's almost like, it reminds me of like a car bumper. Like, it's really solid. I think you could probably drop this, throw it around. I think it would take a huge amount of abuse. Size-wise, it's almost exactly the same size, length and height as my iPhone 11 Pro Max, but obviously it's a fair bit deeper than an iPhone. It has a really simple on-off switch on the back, as well as 2 adjustable knobs for the brightness output and color temperature. It's got 3 1/4-20 threads on 3 sides of the light, and on the remaining side that hasn't got the threads, it's got an AC power socket and a USB Type-C socket for powering the light. On the back, you can see it's got the Sony MPF style mount. And finally, it's got a small battery indicator on the light, 3 LEDs that tell you how charged your battery is, and a lovely embossed LUPO branding on the back there. So the light itself is insanely bright. In fact, LUPO claim that it is the brightest on-camera light in the world, and I can believe it. So they've rated it at 4,200 lux at 1 meter, and yeah, it is insanely bright, and you can see there the color temperature. Now, obviously, it's hard to kind of imagine what lux look like. So just for a bit of fun, I rigged this up into my usual light dome that I'm using now, just to give an idea of the output that it can provide. Now, it's on full power in what you're looking at here, and to give you an idea of the brightness, I mean, I think it's performing incredibly well, but it's also going through 2 incredibly thick layers of diffusion and a light grid before getting to my face, and I think the results are great. And I'm not saying that you would use this light as a key light necessarily, but the fact that it's providing that level of output that you could heavily diffuse it and use it as a key is pretty impressive. As well as being super bright, the Smartpanel dual colour, as the name suggests, also has changeable colour temperature ranging from 32 to 5600 kelvins for sort of daylight to much warmer sort of tungsten-esque colour. And it's also got a really high CRI of 96, which is really great for accurate colour reproduction when using it to light products and stuff like that. Personally, for me, a light like this is perfect for those kind of secondary lighting situations. So putting it on a boom, using it as like a rim light or possibly a fill light. And I quite often like to use a warmer colour temperature for those lights to add a bit of visual interest to a scene. So the fact that it's got the changeable colour temperature and I don't need to mess around using gels or anything to achieve that look is really convenient and nice to have. So next up, let's talk about power options for the Smartpanel. And there is no shortage of power options with this light. So first of all, as you can see here, you can use the MPF style batteries to power it. These are really common with lots of filmmaking gear, monitor and lights, and really easy to get your hands on. I've got this chunky one that I got off Amazon. It lasts really well. I'll put some links in the description. Secondly, you can also use an AC adapter for these. Now, it's not included in the box when you buy it, but they're pretty easily available. And if you're anything like me, you've probably got a few compatible ones knocking around anyway that you can use for that. Thirdly, you've got the USB-C. So it does come with the USB-C cable, so you can power it from a power bank or use a USB power adapter. Although do just make sure that the power output of the socket you're using is adequate. I did try it with an older iPhone charger the other day, and it didn't seem to put out the power that the light wanted, so it didn't come on for me. But most, high wattage USB style chargers are going to be adequate to power this light. And finally, you can also, again sold separately, get a AC to D-tap adapter, which enables you to power this light using V-mount batteries. So it's a really versatile, to have a light that, I don't think there's many situations where I'd find myself where I wasn't able to get this light working. Even if my MPF style batteries have died, I'm probably going to have a power bank or access to mains electricity somehow. So really versatile from power point of view. Next up, let's talk about the little ball joint that comes with the light. Now this thing, you can probably hear, it's really, really solid. Definitely made to last. Definitely no concern about the light falling off it at any point. Yeah, really very high quality little ball joint. Now I know that's not probably why you're buying the product, but I can see this being the sort of ball joint that probably gets nicked off this light to use on other sort of rigs and builds over time, because it is so solid and robust. So yeah, really nice touch to include that with the light. When I first opened the light, I will be honest with you, I wasn't particularly impressed by the diffuser. It's just this single piece of sort of scored plastic. I didn't think it seemed very good, but I must say, after using the light, I now have completely changed my mind and have found this to be really great, actually. It's incredibly simple, practically indestructible. It's easy to put on the light, and the results that it provides are pretty good. Obviously, a light of this size, even though the way the LEDs are arranged means that it is naturally a softer light source, even with a diffuser, it's never going to be as soft as, say, something like the light dome that I'm using right now. But that said, this diffuser is incredibly simple, so small, you can pack it down, just throw it in your bag, no weight whatsoever, and really simple to install. To install it, you simply fold it over the front, and you've got the 1/4-20 bolt that comes with it that you put into one 1/4-20 hole on the light, and then your ball joint would go into the bottom hole and screw in like so. So there you have the simple diffusion. I guess one small point about the diffuser is it does leak a little bit of light out of these sides compared to a diffuser that would sort of clip on and go over the whole thing. But to be honest, I can't really think of a usage scenario where that would be a big deal. But I figured it's worth mentioning. So far, so good. I've been using the light for a few months, putting it through its paces, and generally it's been absolutely amazing. But I do have a few small niggles with the light, which I would like to share with you now. So first of all, the brightness and temperature dials, the knobs, are quite close together on the light, and they are quite easy to move. They're not the firmest or most resistant to turn. So I have found that if I'm repositioning the light and maybe grabbing it, it's really easy to knock the brightness and adjust the brightness or colour temperature when you're not necessarily meaning to. And this is kind of made a bit worse by the fact that they're also quite close together, so sometimes you might be reaching around trying to change the brightness and you're actually adjusting the temperature as well a little bit. So a minor niggle, nothing major, but it is worth sort of pointing out, I think. That leads into the next sort of niggle I've got, which is there is no way of knowing what temperature you've got the light on without using a light meter or setting custom white balance. So if the light had a small LCD screen that showed you maybe what brightness from 0 to 100 and your Kelvin colour temperature value, it might make certain instances easier for when you really want to dial in that colour temperature. For me, the way I use it, it's really not a big deal, but if it did have that small screen, it would make it just a little bit better for me. So the next little con that I've got is actually to do with the light's construction, and I will be the first to admit that this is probably a little bit of an unfair criticism of the LUPO Smartpanel. They don't claim that the light is waterproof or weather sealed in any way. However, the way that it's constructed, you've got these quite large vents in the top and bottom, and you can see straight into the light and you can see the circuitry that makes the light work, which means that if I was using this on a camera at an outdoor event, for example, I would be incredibly nervous about even the smallest drop of rain getting into the light and causing issues. Now, as again, I say, they're not telling me it's waterproof, so you could say that's really unfair. However, I've got some other on-camera lights which are definitely not waterproof either, but they're just a bit more sealed, and I would probably be a little less concerned about any moisture getting into the light because it's slightly more sealed anyway. So I'm sure there's a good reason why those vents are there, probably for heat dissipation, etc. And as I say, they're not claiming it's waterproof, but yes, just because those vents are so large and the circuits are so exposed, it would make me more nervous than normal to be using this in any kind of moist, damp conditions, even just a bit of spitty rain, and I'd be thinking, I need to get this covered. So my final gripe with the product, and this is a really tricky one, is the price. So, as I said earlier, this light in the UK is £165. For that price, you do not get an AC adapter or a battery, and that's fine. Do I think the light is worth £165? Yes, I absolutely do. It's not a matter of value here. Please don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying the light is too expensive. I'm just questioning who this light is for. And for me, there's a real clear audience for this light, and that is professionals who are using the light heavily, treating it mean, throwing it around in their camera bag and around on set and stuff, that want the versatility of the power options and want the extra versatility that the additional brightness can provide. And if that is what you're looking for, then I can't think of a better small light that's available for you. However, if you are a hobbyist, YouTuber, small part-time creator, and you are looking for a small on-camera light, and you don't necessarily need the versatility of the power options and the brightness, then it's a hard sell to recommend this light. It's great, but it is hard to look at the price for what you're getting if you don't absolutely need all of those features. That said, it's really nice to see another manufacturer that isn't these large sort of Chinese manufacturers that are sort of flooding the market with really affordable equipment, and I'll be the first to say that I regularly will buy, you know, affordable equipment from Amazon or wherever. But it's nice to see a smaller firm who are clearly putting so much thought and effort into their products, and I imagine that to a certain degree that is feeding into the price point as well. They're probably just not capable of competing with, you know, massive manufacturers in quite the same way. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. So that is the LUPO Smartpanel dual colour, a fantastic light that I'm incredibly glad to have in my kit bag, and can 100% recommend to other people if the use case is right for them, if they need that durability, the brightness and the power, then yeah, absolutely great product. So that's everything. If you like this sort of thing, filmmaking, photography tips and tutorials, product reviews, and me talking about my general journey as I learn and improve my filmmaking and photography, then subscribe to the channel so you get updated next time I upload a video. Thanks very much for watching. Links to everything are in the description, and other than that, I'll see you next time.